Cheers. I've got a story for you today all about parties and festivities and festivals and such like, and about men and manliness, and about summer and about a castle. And it's a place you really can go to if you fancy it, down on the south coast of Wales. It's there, all red sandstone and crumbling stuff, but that place is called Pennard Castle, and the story is called The Verries of Pennard Castle. Don't ask me why Verries, not fairies, or pucks, or pixies, or any of those. The Verries of Pennard Castle. Cheers. As I say, Pennard Castle is just a ruin these days, sinking into the Gower sands. Travel down to the south coast of Wales and you'll find the crumbling red sandstone remains. And we'll surely agree that, nice though it is, it's not a place you'd really want to spend the night. Although ruined castles can, of course, be a wonderful place to go and visit. I mean, I like to go there of a Sunday afternoon myself. Castles were usually only built for one reason: to fight battles and to wage war. That is why a ruined castle is probably the best kind. Anyway, the last owner of Pennard Castle was a mighty general whose name was Mowbray, and he became the master of the place due to his own prowess in war, which means, of course, he killed everyone who stood in his way until the castle was his. Not only that, but he was given the hand of a Welsh princess in marriage simply because of his ability to spill his enemy's guts. The princess was not exactly happy about any of this, obviously, but sadly in those days, princesses were usually treated as if they were trophies or book tokens or bacon sandwiches. Mowbray and his band of bloodthirsty knights stormed home to Pennard Castle one summer's evening, victorious and bathed in the blood of their foes. "Hooray for Mowbray!" yelled one particularly creepy, crawly knight. "Nobody killed as many men as him." "True," boomed Mowbray. "I think today was my personal best. I must have slit 1,000 throats before tea time." "So many pints of blood, my lord," replied the knight. "What a man you are!" "Oh, yes, I'm a man, all right," came the lusty reply. "For what could be more manly than swishing your trusty sharp blade through the guts of some other nutter? It's kill or be killed out there, and I've never been killed." "Nor me." "Well, no, but you've not been killed in a far less manly way than I've not been killed." And as Mowbray had by far the sharpest sword of all of them, they all agreed that he was, of course, the manliest man of all the men, and toasts were drunk, many toasts, in fact. Roast oxen was eaten, and really manly songs played by a travelling band of manly men musicians, and a party the like of which Pennard Castle had never seen got into full swing. There were endless arm wrestling contests. Mowbray always won, of course, head-butting competitions and shooting tournaments, and indeed shouting tournaments, while ale and mead flowed out of barrels and down manly gullets, and a great time was being had by all. Until, that is, one of Mowbray's lookout men announced, "Sir, weird lights coming along the sands of Three Cliffs Bay, sir. Seem to be heading this way. Maybe an enemy attack party. Advise, please." "Advise?" Mowbray replied in a beery drawl. "I advise that we all arm up and march right down there to find out what's going on. We'll soon send these gate crashers out, right, lads? Hey, 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 hey!" And the loud, colossal, drunken roar that greeted the suggestion made it clear Mowbray was right. And so Mowbray and all his manly men marched down towards the sands, where they could see the strange lights flickering away there somewhere in the ether, and getting ever closer, it seemed. The lights were dancing and approaching and retreating, and suddenly Mowbray called a silent halt. They could see these gatecrashers now. A party of grinning, singing fairy folk, all tripping along on the beams of the shining moon, some on their heads, some hovering with a dizzying flap of their wing-like ears, some zooming about in UFOs, and all clearly having the most wonderful time. Come no further, demanded Mowbray. What do you mean by marching on Pennard Castle? Oh, what? Oh, hey, oh, man, are you like the boss of this fancy joint then? Asked one grinning fairy with a turquoise face and a hat, which seemed to be singing a song about tulips. Oh, that is far out. We heard there was a party on, man, so we thought we'd come along and join in all the fun. We're the Verries, right? And this is technically, I don't want to get, really weighed down with the heavy stuff, but this place is technically our own home, and has been for generations. But it's totally cool. If you want to build a castle here, let's just party, man. We brought some nectar and get me back to the hellish underworld where ye came from, ordered Mowbray, his sharp sword glinting in the moonlight. There's no need to bring us down, man, the fairy replied. Why can't we all have some fun? It's a beautiful night. But Mowbray and his men, they would not hear any of this. They had no time for words. They charged at the curious fairy folk as one, all chopping and hacking with their swords, spears and axes and sharp things generally, and roaring for all their worth in the most manly way they could fight it, until they realised that they were just attacking clean air and sometimes accidentally each other, and the fairy folk had just gone. However, the voices of that strange Verry still hovered there in the ether on the moonlight's rays. You need to stop your warring ways, you men do, man. You think you can stop our party with your silly metal swords and spears? You think you can break our fairy spirit? Your silly metal spiky things are nothing compared to what one song can do from us, you dig? And you will have to dig. You're going to be doing so much digging, man, because you've spoiled our innocent little party. Namaste. And all of a sudden, the loudest musical wailing you could possibly imagine filled the whole bay, and with it came a whirlwind, which instantly blew Mowbray and all of his men into a panic, whisking the weapons from their hands and throwing them far out into the sea. But worst of all was to come, as the men retreated to Pennard Castle and looked back to see a tidal wave of sand! Sand! Yelled Mowbray, before getting a face full of the stuff. Grainy, horrible sand filled his eyes and his mouth and got stuck between his teeth, and the same was happening to all of his manly men. Help! They cried and ran as hard as their manly legs could manage, not just to Pennard Castle, which was quickly sinking beneath the pelting storms of musical sand, but through the drawbridge at the other end and off out into the night of the Welsh hills, all squealing like tired toddlers, and all never to return. Pennard Castle was never fully reclaimed from those sandstorms, and just about stands empty to this day. It just goes to show that it's far better to approach Verries, no matter what they look like, or fairies, or pucks, or pixies, or little Tommy Dildrums, or whatever you'd like to call them. It's always best to approach those kind of people with a little friendliness, or in fact anyone, human, magical. Approach with smiles and peace and love, man. All that stuff. It's a cliche, but that is far better than approaching anyone with snarls and war and weapons. Cheers. The end.